Right, hey everyone, I'm Clue. Welcome back to some more combos here on Talishar, showcasing Flesh and Blood. So, Florian and veridins, right? LSS has pretty much outlined their OTKs, their alternative win conditions, right in front of you, right? So, if there are 8 or more Earth cards for Florian, anytime you create an Aura token, instead create that many +1, and then veridins is anytime you gain life, deal 1 arcane damage. So, they're pretty interesting, alternative conditions, but you do have to go on quite the arduous journey in order to actually set that up. So I thought, why don't we start looking into it? Now, almost sort of as a red herring, you do have Germinate. So Germinate does work beautifully with Florian's ability. So the way it works is every instance of Runechant creation is what gets that +1. So for instance, if you were to create 4 in one go, you'd only get +1. But since Germinate is repeat this process every time you create a Runechant token, so if you were creating, say, 5 from this, you'd actually create 10, right? So that makes it super strong, but it does make it also a huge resource sink. But I think there's slightly better ways to actually go about the Runechant generation that will actually lead to probably a more consistent deck, right? Fatigue, yeah. So we're going to go with Thistle, which I don't have in my hand right yet, but basically it's create Runechant token equal to the amount of life you've gained this turn. So we're starting off with Harvest Season, which is gain 3 life, right, at the beginning of your action phase. So I've already gained 9 life, since we had 3 of them. We also have Healing Potions as some extra setup. So we're already at 15 life gained, which means that with a Thistle Bloom, we'd end up creating 15 Runechant tokens. So that's already quite hefty, right? Even, again, in comparison to Florian's ability with Germinate and what you could feasibly do with Germinate in a sort of normal-sized hand, right? So I do think this is the better route, plus then you have the whole Fatigue backbone. Now, I am staying away from Count Your Blessings, right? I think we all know what that's currently doing to the meta, but simply put, if you were to end up with 7 of them in your graveyard, keep the 2 reds, it's 3 life gain, and then 1 plus the amount of Count Your Blessings, correct? So that would be 8 plus 3, 11, so that'd be 22 life gain off of 2 red Count Your Blessings, right? Still need something to pitch and some other way to generate 1 extra resource, and then a Thistle Bloom, so that would be 22 Runechant tokens. So that's, again, pretty sizable, but I think the easy way out, obviously a optimized deck for the current meta, if you were to go into Fatigue, when you were to try and do a combo similar to what we're going to show off today, definitely would include Count Your Blessing. But because it's, so obvious, I thought we'd try to show off some other interactions. So, Korshem, definitely the best Fable, right? Because it is so versatile and has really, really great effects. Now, at sunset each day, which is basically the end of the turn, right? You lose Korshem if no hero has gained resource, life, attack, or defense. So that's really strong currently because there is a bunch of instant life gain effects. Enough so they could probably consistently ensure that there's one in your hand every round, meaning that you could probably sustain Korshem pretty easily. So in the right matchup where you know your opponent's not going to be revealing that many cards, right, including the lightning heroes currently, then you could really benefit from Korshem because they have tried to stay away from reveal, but Runeblade has his own version of reveal outside of Fuse, so it is definitely a card worth setting up for this type of combo. So with that in mind, we can now start generating resources. So first unique interaction, the arm slot. You can turn Braces of Belief into resource generation because it does reveal a card. So we now have 2 generated through Iron Weave once we play an attack and play a non-attack action card. And then we also have 1 resource generated through Braces of Belief. So that makes it really good. We're already back to 3 resources. Now we just have to fix our hand. So because I have stacked the deck, we have Tome the Arknight, right? Even though this is reveal 2 cards, it's 1 instance of reveal. That's why we're only going to get 1 proc of Korshem, but still enough to pay for itself. So resource cheating into draw is always super strong. So we can go again, gain a resource, and then 1 more time. Now, to make it consistent, right, you could take something like Crown of Dichotomy, which allows you to put 2 Runeblade, 1 non-attack, 1 attack action on top of your deck in any order. That would ensure that the follow-up turn you could hit with Tome of Arknight. So that is something to consider, but obviously we're in a controlled environment, so I have rigged the deck in our favor. But from there, right, we have Tome of Harvest, which is beautiful. We can draw 3 extra cards, right? We have the spare resources, so this is, again, another plus. So although we lose the Arsenal card, we still end up with 1 extra card in hand. Definitely worthwhile, so we'll play it. Draw our 3 cards once it loads. There we go. And we're already at 7 cards. Now, we do have Mischievous Meeps, but we will have to pitch for Mischievous Meeps, so that's fine. Now, Fruits of the Forest is definitely going to come in handy. So this is instant, discard this, gain 2 life. A very good value once you compare it to something like Germinate, because again, Germinate is 2x, right? And then create Runechant, but you do gain the life effect also, so that does factor in, but basically they are comparable. It's just that finding attacks is a lot easier than finding non-attack action cards thanks to Sonata Arcanics. But before that, we still have the Mischievous Meeps to play. So we will gold, we will pitch the Fruits of the Forest, get one more card, and then we'll start going to the Mischievous Meeps line, right? So we can do Mischievous Meeps, has go again. Now this is contested draw, right? So you have to land the hit, which will be, somewhat difficult in an actual game. But again, not super necessary if you take just a nice Fatigue Backbone, and you're not going for just a straight up OTK. We can Iron Weave first to gain our 2 resources. Perfect. And then play the next 2. This will get us 2 more cards. Once they hit, of course. There we go. Another Thistle Bloom, which is good because we have to lead the charge. And then Lucky Last should be what we need to start going into the Sonata line, right? So we get ourselves a blue Fruits of the Forest. So, Sonata. We only really care about the top 2 lines, right? So reveal the top X plus 3 cards of your deck. Then for each non-attack action card reveal this way, put an attack action card into your hand. So it's 2X, meaning that the optimal spending curve on this is 2 resources, right? So that would be reveal 1 plus 3, 4 cards. If you hit 2 non-attacks and 2 attacks, you're going to get 2 cards back. And if you're pitching a blue, you're going to profit 1 resource, right? So you get to cycle 2 cards, and you get to generate 1 extra resource to go into something like Germinate or whatever you're spending on, right? Or even follow it up with another Sonata, because we also have Korshem, right? Another instance of reveal, meaning that 1 will pay for the next and the next. So Sonata, and now we do have to get a little bit lucky, because after the first one, it will shuffle the deck, but we'll hope, right? So we play that, we reveal 4 cards, and from that, perfect, we get 2. So what do we reveal? Banished and then, okay, never mind. We got Germinate and Arcane Seeds, right, as our 2 non-attack actions, and then 2 fruits. So we'll put another blue into our hand, keep the resources, there we go. 2 cards into their hand, and then gain a resource, thanks to Korshem. And then, of course, we can play the next one since we have the 2 floating. We no longer have to pitch, and hopefully we continue to net 2 attacks. Perfect. Followed up by another resource. And then we can do Sonata, and we will pitch another blue one. I do kind of want to guarantee that we get attacks, so I might as well go for 4 since we're pitching. You know what? No, because we need to attack to actually proc the Thistle Bloom. So you know what? We'll go to pitch the blue, and that will net us 1 resource, 2 resources left over. Perfect. Oh, we only got 1 card. That's fine. And then here we'll actually click gain a life, right? Because we only need 2 to swing with the Rotwood Reaper. So from there, what we can do is now use the discard effect on Fruits of the Forest. So gain 2 life, right? So this will end up being an extra 8 life, which is quite nice. So ability, 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 and you guessed it, ability. Perfect. And you know what? I just realized I'm 1 resource off because I forgot about the Mage Master Boots. How far back can I go? You know what? We'll keep the red. And there we go, sorted. So I was meant to generate 1 more resource, so we lost 1 extra life gain because we only got 1 from Korshem instead of the 2 from fruits. Oh well. So then we can lead the charge, which generates an action point, meaning that it can stack with Mage Master Boots, which we'll play. And then, of course, we can go Thistle Bloom. Beautiful. Click both. And again, this will generate Runechant equal to the amount of life we've gained this turn, which is going to amount to 23, right? Into another one, which will then be slightly higher, but still around 25, I think, right? Because we got the life gain from Thistle Bloom. Yeah, so 47 in total. That's fairly decent. And then, of course, we need to pop them. So we get to swing, and then pitch away fruits. So, not too shabby. Not going to be a consistent OTK, but I do think it'll be consistently higher than the Germinate side of things. So we'll take, oh, perfect, here we go. So again, create a Runechant or embodiment of Earth, most likely Runechant, and then repeat this process X more times. So you always get 1, and then, depending on how much you pitch, if you had a hand of 5, you could pitch 4 cards. If they were all blues, that would be 3 by 4, so 12. So that'd be 6 times, so that'd be 8 Runechant tokens, and then of course you get 8 life. So then, in conjunction with a Thistle Bloom, you then get an extra 8 Runechant tokens. So it does amount to a sizable amount, especially again if you have Florian active. The problem is getting to that constraint of 8 or more Earth cards. So in total, with the amounts of damage we pushed over the course of the turn, we did do a sizable amount. I still think there is more than enough Arcane Barrier, Spell Void, and Damage Prevention to probably need, 60 plus Runechant tokens, probably a little bit higher as well, if you were to try to OTK from a sizable amount of life, especially again with the amount of life gain that everyone has access to. But nonetheless, it's still a fun alternative win condition that I do think is fairly decent, because if we actually look at the amount of life gain you can run, right, and there's some sizable extra things you could add to the string of cards that we played. For instance, again, if I were to include the Count Your Blessings, so where X is 3 plus the number of Count Your Blessings in your graveyard. My math was off, but again, still a sizable amount, right? So if you had 7 and you just kept 2 of them, that would be 7 plus 3, right? So it'd be 20 overall, which is still a huge amount of life gain, right? A huge bump to Thistle Bloom. But the basic gist would be to have all the combo pieces, pitch them away, and then just sustain yourself with life gain, right? Which would be fairly sizable. You also have the Sunkiss line, which you could use with Moonwish to then try and get a nice string going, because every time you play Sunkiss, you get to draw a card, has go again, and you gain some life for Thistle Bloom. So if I also included that as the main attack, right, you could have added in a bunch more life gain. There's obviously a way to do sizable amount of damage, probably 120 plus, if I were to include all the less realistic circumstances, as well as Count Your Blessings. But again, the fact that you have access to so much life gain is pretty sizable. And then also, being Earth, you have Embodiment of Earth. If you do take that action card Backbone, the non-attack action card Backbone, to just try and fatigue your opponent and set up those Runechant tokens. Now, also worth noting, Arcane Polarity. So gain 1 life, and if you've dealt arcane damage, gain a sizable more, right? So that in itself is also really nice. If you take some sort of attack, you take a different set of arms that generates a Runechant token, you can try and ping that and then go into it. But again, there is still a sizable amount of draw that Runeblade has access to, just requires a bit more stacking. So if you are doing fatigue and you are again getting to that second cycle where you know how your deck is ordered, Tome of Arknight becomes incredibly more consistent, right? And it's a blue pitchable anyway to cycle it. So yeah, it's definitely feasible. It's definitely one of the more feasible combos out there. And, there's alternatives. You can go for the in-between, right? Again, Germinate with Mordred Tide, Florian's ability. You can definitely hit a lot of Runechant tokens. And again, if you're going on a more aggressive line over the course of the whole game, you will get a lot of value out of these types of effects. I do think, though, if you're trying to OTK similar to, older Runechants, right, OTK builds, then you definitely have to go down the route of just a huge amount of life gain on one turn. Because, can I see our life? No, we're at 0. And there is no life gain tally. But yeah, I mean, we generated 40-something, so we gained 40-something life as well, which is pretty insane, right? Obviously, you're not blocking when you're life gaining, and the math works out slightly worse. But nonetheless, a fun alternative win condition, right? Definitely not as strong or, again, as supported as I'd like for some combos, but still fun to look into. I'll tweak it maybe and refine it, but we'll definitely check out Veridin's next, right? Hers is obviously a little bit different, because instead of a grand total of life, you want the most instances of life gain over the course of a turn or a couple turns. I don't think you'll be able to OTK with her, but obviously just the extra pressure, especially with some of the attacks that gain life, right? The fact that then you turn that into a arcane ping will definitely be nice. But nonetheless, again, the decompose line will probably, there you go. There's the whole collection of cards. And again, they're mostly on attack cards. So they're not that great in my opinion, right? They're definitely going to be slow. It's probably a 5-turn-ish minimum. We'll have to see as more decks come out and more competitive games get played. But setting up and activating their hero abilities are definitely going to take a decent chunk of time. So leaning into the life gain, leaning into a fatigue build is probably more reliable. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. See ya.